In this video, I'll show you an amazing and highly advanced feature of Facebook ads, and that's automated rules. They are very cool for various reasons. First of all, they can automate a lot of your work and save you hours of time, even weeks and months. Second, they do not miss anything. So you can practically implement your thinking logic with rules and make sure that you don't forget to look at a campaign and, generally mess up in various ways. So that's very cool as well. It's just like having an employee that does not forget and does not fail to do the job exactly as you told it. Now, that's the problem with the rules, because sometimes you can tell that employee or the rule to do stuff that might be prone to errors, but we'll discuss that in a second. And another huge advantage of the Facebook ad rules is that they can do things that normal campaigns cannot, which is incredible. And that's why we'll take quite a few minutes to actually go through the rules. So obviously, maybe you have seen the rules. They reside over here, and many people don't actually notice them. I don't know if you did so far, but the way they do is you can create a new rule or manage your existing rules. So let's go ahead and create ourselves a new rule to see how this whole thing works. So first of all, you should give your rule a name. Now, I don't recommend you start with this, because you first need to figure out what the rule is and then name it appropriately so you can recognize it among the mountain of rules that you're probably going to end up creating. Now, first is you need to select what do you want to apply this rule to. And you can do it to all campaigns, all active ad sets, or all active ads. Now, that's kind of weird. Why would you do that only to active things? Why not disabled things, right? So this kind of weird, because you need to kind of figure out the combinations between these two, because if I select turn on ads here, I will select the options to do all post ads. But if I select all post ad sets, I would get different options here. And if I select this, then I would get different options over here. So that's kind of weird. And if you cancel this out, first of all, you can actually apply this to a single campaign, which is very nice. And this way, when you create a new rule, you get the option to choose the one campaign that you selected or the 3 campaigns that you selected, and then all the active ad sets within those, and then all the active ad sets within or ads within that campaign. And then you can do this for all campaigns as well. Now, for this exercise, I will just use them all. And you can select your action. For campaigns, you can turn them on, off, send notifications, which is very important. And you can also adjust their budgets. For ad sets, you can do lots of things. So you can increase their budget. You can increase their lifetime budget, which I don't recommend. I don't actually recommend that you use automated rules for lifetime budget campaigns at all, but that's another story. But you can actually do that, which doesn't really make that much sense to me, but it's fine. Maybe you can find some uses after I teach you what you can do with the rules. And then you can scale the daily or lifetime budget by target field. So for example, you could, well, let's not get into that right now. And you can also adjust the manual bids in case you are using manual bidding. And again, for ads, what? That kind of broke. Anyways. So in case you select all active ads, then you can turn them off or on or send notifications. And you can kind of figure this out on your own and decide, what you want to do. I'll give you lots of examples in a second. Then you have your conditions, and the conditions work in a if this then that basis. So you first want to choose what you want to do, and then what criteria do your campaigns need to meet to be able to activate the rule. And once the rule is activated, then that action is going to happen. And also you have your range. So the range is quite important because you want to be able to look at specific date ranges to make that decision. So for example, if you're looking at the cost per result, if it goes over 50 in the last 7 days, then maybe you want to do something. You could do that for lifetime or last 30 days, and kind of some are including to daily, or there's lots of different options. But in reality, there could actually be more than that. But those are quite sufficient, but there could be some custom options as well. And you can select your attribution window. So you can change your attribution window for the rules, not for the campaigns, right? So in case like your cost per results is greater than whatever, but if your ads are actually set up to a conversion window of or attribution window of 1 day, you can actually switch that to, let's say, 7 days here after viewing an ad and 8 days after clicking an ad, and your actual campaign settings might be different, but the rule is going to consider these guys over here over the campaign settings to execute and try and see if you will meet the conditions, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, don't worry, we'll make quite a few examples, so it's not a problem. Now, I think one of the coolest parts of rules is the scheduling part over here, because you can decide to run the rule continuously, and this is good for things that you want to do like all the time. Maybe every 30 minutes you want to check if something has happened, if there's like a disaster and you spent like $1,000 and got 0 results in return, then you might want to keep a disaster check fail-safe procedure over here, and that's why you might want to use continuous rules. And then you might also have some continuous rules who have a more relaxed condition. So let's say if my lifetime cost per result is, let's say, we want to say if my lifetime cost per result is greater than $100, I want to stop advertising because my actual margin is like 80, and if like for the whole reason of my campaign, for the whole life of my campaign, this is higher, then I may want to pause my campaign. But just keep in mind the relaxed rules, like go wide. And this is another thing that Facebook does. If you select like the cost per result, they're going to add this automatic filter over here that says that your campaign must have at least 8,000 lifetime impressions for it to start counting the cost per result. Most of the time you want to remove that if you want to look at your ads every day or every 30 minutes and so on, but you have to be careful. And again, I will repeat this several times throughout this video because you can mess it up quite dramatically. So back to the schedule. You also have daily. So these are things that you want to check once per day. And the best part is here, the custom. So in the custom, you can edit your custom schedule. This means that you can run a certain rule on Monday and then again on Friday. What can this mean? Think about something that we can't do with Facebook ads, or at least we can't do it inside of the campaigns, but we can actually do with rules. Yes, that's right, scheduling. You can't do it in the side of the campaign. Like if you're running a campaign, it's going to run every day, and you just don't want to advertise on weekends, man. That's the fact. That's you're closed. Your doors are closed, and you have to manually go in and turn off your campaign, and then go back on Monday. Maybe you overslept, and now you lost business. You did bad. Facebook should have implemented this inside of the campaign functionalities, but they didn't. We don't know if it's because they're greedy or something, or just they had some technical problems, but this is a great way to actually run your campaigns on schedule. So what you can do with this rule is you can create one rule, pause all of my campaigns on Friday at, let's say, 10 p.m. when you're closing, and then you want to restart those campaigns on Monday at, let's say, 9 a.m. when you open. And now all of your campaigns are going to pause on Friday and start on Monday. Of course, you need to create 2 rules for this, but this is one of the coolest things that you can do. You can also make adjustments and optimizations. You can see at which times of day do you get the best results, and pause your campaigns in the other periods of time. That's amazing. Again, so let's say I want to start my campaigns at 9 a.m. on Monday, and I want to stop them at 10, or let's say I want to stop them at like 5 p.m. maybe, because like my ads are only focused towards people who are at work right now. So I don't want to run them throughout the whole night. I want them to run from 9 to 5. And I'm targeting people who are in the office. Maybe they're tired. Maybe I'm selling coffee or some productivity tools for people who are in their office on their computer. So I'll be targeting desktop devices on my campaign. And then I will select the 9 to 5 as a schedule here. And that rule is going to automatically start and stop the campaign. So I will not be advertising throughout the other hours of the day. That's another really, really cool thing that you can do. Now, you can also use rules for other types of optimizations. So, for example, you can say if my cost per result goes over a specific value, then I want to pause my campaigns, or I want to reduce my budget, or I want to do something else. Of course, then if you have 10 ad sets within your campaign, you can only stop the ad sets that are not performing. So you don't want to do it for the entire campaign. Maybe you just want to do it for specific ads or ad sets, and then this way you will stop the non-performance and you will start the best performance automatically. And then, of course, one of the other cool features that you have over here is to get a notification. So you can get one on Facebook and one on emails, and you can, of course, decide who is the subscriber. This is going to be me in this case. Now, so let's think of some more examples of what you can actually do with rules, and let's actually make our first rule. So the first rule that we're going to make is that if our let's say we want to apply this to only this campaign. We don't want to mess up with our entire account. That's danger zone. We don't want to go there. And what we want to do is we actually want to apply this to, we want to increase the daily budget by, let's say, 20%. In all the active ad sets in one campaign, on the condition that our cost per result is smaller than 3, and we want to get rid of that pesky filter over here, and we want to add that our conversions are, let's say, more than 1. So we want results is greater than 1. Or let's say maybe 3. So if I get more than 3 conversions at a lower than $3 cost per result, I want to increase my budget. I could get more. So a good example of that would be things that really sell under certain situations and are influenced by external factors. So imagine that you are selling, bicycles. So if you're selling bicycles, it's a lot more likely that people are going to buy bicycles on a sunny day. It's sunny outside, they're at home, they really want a bicycle right now, but they don't have one, right? If it's raining, maybe they're not going to get prompted to buy a bicycle right now. But then if it's sunny outside and they don't have one, you might get greater results. Now, you can't obviously target based on the weather. Like, you can't say, hey, Facebook, just please show my ads when it's sunny outside. You can't do that. But if you implement these rules on the days that it's sunny, you're actually going to spend more and sell more. And on the days that it's not sunny, you're actually going to spend your normal amount. Now, I'll show you how to do reset rules in a second. And so this is kind of my first rule. And say I want to set a maximum daily budget cap of, let's say, maybe $200. And we want to say like what frequency do we want that action to happen. So I could probably do it once hourly, right? I'm just increasing by 20%. So if my budget is like $20, it's going to increase like slowly every hour if things still keep being that being the same. If my cost per results is still under 3 and my sales are now more and more, it's completely fine to do that. And the time range, of course, I will set to today because I want to sell my bicycles today. And I want to keep the attribution window at the account default, which is what I recommend you do anyway most of the time. I want to run that rule continuously or daily. In this case, both are continuously is better in this case, right? Because I want it to run multiple times. And then I want to get an email notification if that's happening. I want to know if I have a great day. And so we will say this: increase ad set budgets if CPA is less than 3 and conversions is bigger than 3. Right? You want to name your rule properly. So now remember, this rule is going to only apply to this campaign. So now if we go to the manage rules screen, we will see our rule over here, and we'll see that this is the rule. It applies to all the active sets in this one campaign. It does this under these conditions, and it will start on the 12th of November in 2020 in Hawaii time, and it was last it's checked at least once every 30 minutes, and you can obviously also preview it, edit it, or run it. And then I can go ahead and create another rule. So now what I want to do is I want to reset that daily. So I want to select, obviously I can't do that here actually, so we need to go back to the ads manager because I want to select the same campaign, right? We don't want to do it in that. So let's say this was the local ads one that I created, and I want to create a new rule. So I want, if my campaign is incredibly successful, I want my budget to go higher, like as high as it wants, up to $200. Like I can increase my budget 10 times in a given day if it's very, very successful. But the next day, I want to reset my budget to where it was normally, because not all days are Black Friday, or as we say, not all days are Easter. So let's do the reset for that. So I want to run this rule daily, and I am targeting the ad sets in this one campaign, and I want to well, that's not going to work. There are some missing rules actually over here, and that's kind of shows you the default of Facebook. So you kind of have to be very creative with this. So let's say I want to decrease the daily budget by let's say $10. I want to increase that budget by decrease it by $10, and I want to run that daily. I want to run it actually continuously if the, let's see, if the budget, if the daily budget is greater than $100. But now these rules are going to start fighting, so that's not gonna work. But we need to figure out a more, more clever way. Okay, so let's say, and if our cost per result is greater than 3, we want to get rid of that. So once our cost per results becomes greater than 3, we want to start bringing that budget down to $100, let's say. Or we could just kind of edit that to be, let's say, 50, right? So that's complete. Let's say our default budget is 50, and if things go great, we want to start increasing the budget, and then when the cost per results becomes more than 3 for that given day, then I want to start bringing it down. So this is automatically going to adjust my budget based on the results. And it's hard to kind of figure these ideas out, but once you have a clear idea, it's pretty easy to figure out the rules that you need to implement to do that. Don't pay any attention to that. Minimum daily budget floor is going to be 40. Or maybe I could say like I could say 50 as well here, because I don't want my budget to become more than 50. But if it's more than 50 and I reduce it by $10, let's say if it's 59, then it's gonna stay at 59. So I really want it to be able to stay at let's say 50. And so if it's higher than 50, it's gonna just default back to 50. And this I want to perform once hourly. I want it to be checking it all the time. And this is going to be our bring budget down to 50 if CPA is larger than 3, right? And bam, we have our rules. So now when we go ahead and manage the rules, we have this ad set that is going to increase its daily budget by 20% every time. If we already have 3 sales and the CPA is under $3, it's going to start increasing the budget. So this campaign is going to have more opportunity to make more sales on that happy sunny day, and I'm going to sell more bicycles. And if the CPA for the day becomes more than 3, then I want to start bringing it down, right? I want to calm it down and reset it. That's kind of the idea behind resets when you're doing these crazy rules, because sometimes they can just kind of push it to the limit and stay there because they would not have a return option, right? So this is the 2 main ideas behind scaling and resets. And you can also do rules based on spend and conversions. So this is the idea behind testing with rules and using rules for testing purposes. So let's go back and I'll show you how to do that. Imagine that I have a campaign, and in that campaign, I am testing 5 different ad sets, right? So let's say we have a great candidate. I don't know if it just has enough ad sets. It just has 1 ad set, so we're going to duplicate that a few times, in this original campaign. We're going to make, 4 more copies of it just for fun. And we're not going to bother with any of this right now. It just has 5 ad sets right now, right? So what we want to do is we want to create a new rule and then say pose ad sets where spend is over margin or over 50, let's say, and conversions is less than 1. So this is the idea behind that campaign. I'm running a new campaign. I have 5 different ad sets within it with many different ads. I could also do that on the ad level as well. So let's just do ads, not ad sets. And we'll do it with the ads. And so I will apply this rule to all the active ads inside this campaign, and I want to turn them off if the spend is greater than, let's say, 49.99, and the results in this case, or let's see if we can find the website conversions from the Facebook pixels. Let's say the purchases are smaller than 1. We want to add that. So, and we want to do that for, lifetime is fine for this. So I'm launching a new campaign, and as soon as these ads spend $50 and get me 0 conversions, I want them to pause automatically, because many things can happen. I can forget them and they can be spending money for a long time. You don't want that to happen. So this rule is going to complete several functions. First of all, it's going to act as a fail safe. So if I forget my campaign, these bad performers that have spent a lot of money and did not bring any results are going to be stopped. So I'm not going to spend money for them. Now, in effect, that might entirely stop your campaign. So definitely you want to be notified if that's happening to your ads. But you can send a separate notifications if your campaign spend has been 0 for the last 3 days, right? So maybe you don't want to get notified every single time that an ad is stopped. You want to get notified once the daily spend becomes 0, right? Once all of them are stopped because they're not performing. And so you want to do that for their lifetime budget. And this is, again, only going to work for testing, because if they get more than 1 purchase and then they can spend a lot of money and have a too high CPA. So let's add the website conversions, and then we want to add cost per website conversion, and we want the cost per purchase is smaller, is greater than, let's say, let's add it a bit more. So if it goes over 70, I want to stop that ad as well. And we want to remove that pesky filter over here. So here's what we are doing. We are testing our ads. We are giving them $50 to each ad to spend and get at least 1 purchase. If they do that, and still the cost per purchase becomes over 70, then we want to stop those. But this cost per purchase can actually become more than 70. So you want to have, in this case, maybe we want to add the pesky filter back, right? 8,000 impressions is not too much. They're going to get that for $50 anyway. So we want to make sure that they've been shown enough times. We can even maybe in this case, want to increase it to 20,000 or let's say 10,000, and make sure that we have like a significant volume for that as well, right? So now our rule is fine. or you could just, if you just want to do the testing, we can get rid of this. Let's say just we want to test if they're going to make one purchase. Now we want to run this continuously, and we are done, right? So we just stop and pause all ads, turn them off if they've spent more than $50 and have less than one conversion. Then I just want to look at them, and then I can revise them and decide if I want to run them again. And then this rule is going to activate again. So lifetime again maybe not be the best. So let's go with the last 30 days. If in the last 30 days or in the last, let's say 7 days, they're going to probably spend $50 for 7 days, then I can do that. And then when I revise them, that rule is not going to kill them straight away. So let's create that one and see what else I have to show you. You can also do certain actions based on the return on ad spend. So if your return on ad spend becomes incredible, you want to scale the campaign. Again, you want to use the same logic that you would use to scale the campaign if things are going the way you want. So if your return on ad spend is like 5 or 10 or 20, you want to keep scaling that campaign. Now, if it's a remarketing campaign, of course, you don't want to be scaling it all the time. You want to have it with a restricted budget. But if it's for a cold audience and you want to scale the budget a little bit, you should, of course, set a limit and kind of think how you should scale it and where do you want to scale it automatically until you kind of overdo it. Now, again, before you start using rules, there's a few things that you need to pay attention to. First of all, rules can dramatically ruin your campaigns. They can spend hundreds of thousands, if not, tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars without you knowing it. Like if you leave a campaign to increase its budget by 20%, on day 45, it will increase its budget by $2,000 per day. And growing, and so you can spend vast amounts of money, especially if you leave a company card in that account and it has money in that account, and then your clients are going to sue you and it's a problem. That hasn't happened to me, but I'm just saying it can happen to you. It can also happen to me, by the way. So another thing that you should know about rules is that before you actually start using them, you need to have experience. So you need to do the manual work and the manual optimization and learn how to manually optimize campaigns successfully before you actually start using rules. Second, you want to have a significant spend. If you're spending like $50, $100 a day, there's no sense in you using rules. But after you maybe start spending more than $500 a day, then it starts making sense for you to use rules just so you don't miss things. Remember, rules do not forget. They always do the job. And as long as you set them correctly, they can do an incredible amount of automation, and I really, really, really love them. Now, something else that you need to know is that when you do this, you need to be aware of the averages. So what this means is that, let's say I want to create a rule that if my cost per result is, or let's go with the return on ad spend example. My website purchase return on ad spend is greater than 50. And I choose lifetime. And I want to continuously increase my budget. Let's say my action is not going to be turn off campaign, but it's going to be I want to select ad sets. And in case you have a CBO campaign, that could be done at the campaign level and you can increase the campaign level budget. But let's say I want to all the active ad sets inside of this campaign, I want to increase their daily budget by $20. So think about that. If you do this, this can be very, very dangerous, because let's say you don't, if you run it continuously every 30 minutes, as long as this is true, as long as your website return on ad spend is over 50, then you're going to keep increasing the budget. But that's for lifetime. So if you've been running this ad for a year and its return on ad spend is, let's say, 50, it's a remarketing ad, that's very nice, isn't it? It's a very successful ad, but you've been running it with a small budget. Now, as soon as you start increasing the budget, that return on ad spend is going to go down. And the time that it's going to take for your ad to actually get below 50 return on ad spend, or let's say like this is maybe too much, but let's say we want to go with 5. So your average return on ad spend is 10, but you've been running this for a year. And then this rule starts to kick in, starts to increase your budget. In the last few days, your return on ad spend could be very negative, maybe 0.1. So you're losing money fast. But because you're looking at the time range of lifetime, your average website return on ad spend is going to be above 5, even though your current for the last few days is way below that. Then the averages are going to lie to you, and this rule is going to have a very dramatically negative effect on your campaign, which is not what you want to do. So finally, to conclude, what can you do with rules that you can automate very, very well? First of all, repetitive tasks, things that you do over and over again and you're used to them and you're confident that they are fine and you know exactly how to do them. You can set up rules for those. You can set notifications. So if some extreme event happens and your campaigns are not performing very well, you can use them like intelligence events in Google Analytics. Or basically, if you spent, let's say, $1,000 today and got 0 results, you want to know that's an intelligence event. You want to be notified. So they can be used as fail-safes. You can use rules to adjust the times of the day or the week that your campaigns are running. You can use them to regulate budgets. You can use them to adjust and scale your campaigns depending on your cost per results, conversions, and return on ad spend. Basically, obviously, you want to include both qualitative and quantitative metrics. You can use them as fail-safes again if your overall CPA or cost per acquisition or cost per purchase becomes higher than the margin. So let's say if your margin is $50 and your cost per purchase is $55, you're losing money for sure. You want to at least get notified, stop the campaign, do something. I recommend you start with notifications rather than actions, and these notifications are going to help you not forget. And then if they work over time, you can learn and start turning them into actions with confidence. But beware and be very, very careful with rules. With rules, you can automate repetitive tasks, use them as fail-safes. You can also use them to regulate frequency. Now, that's another cool thing that I want to actually show you. So take a look at this. You can actually select in the conditions here, frequency. So for your cold audience, if your frequency is greater than 3, maybe you want to first get a notification to check the campaign. Maybe it has good results. But if your frequency is going to get over 3 for a very, very cold audience, you're probably going to start experiencing ad fatigue. And you want to know about that and send yourself an ad fatigue notification. Another great use of that. You can also, maybe you've done this before, and as you know, with ad fatigue, you already saw the video on ad fatigue. The best response is to actually create new ads. So the best solution to that is in notifications. You can also react to that and say, I want to if my ad fatigue is if my frequency is over 3, then I maybe want to decrease my daily budget by $5. And I want to take a look at this time range for a specific day. So if people on average have seen my ad over 3 times in the last 30 days, I want to decrease my budget by $5. And then of course you want to make a reset rule to that to make sure that if your frequency goes like below 1.5, you want to, or you can say a minimum daily budget floor, which would be let's say some of the minimum that you need. Like maybe if your budget right now is 30, you don't want to go below 15, say. And you can perform these let's say once daily. And you want to be running this daily, just a daily check to check for ad fatigue and receive a notification. And then you need to get it, give it a name and kind of give it a campaign name. So this is test campaign ad fatigue check, right? And now we have that rule as well. Another thing that you can use the rules for is for budget controls, and we already mentioned quite a few of those. You can use them to scale your campaigns. You can use them as resets. You can use them to test by using the spend and conversions. And you can automate a lot of these tasks. Now, with rules, there's endless possibilities. There's really endless possibilities. And you should really play out these options and see what can you do. Think of different ideas. But the main source should be 2 things. So 2 things that you need to remember for inspiration and for ideas of what kinds of rules you can create. If you're doing something too often, the same thing over and over again, and it's super repetitive, you can automate it. If you want to do any if this then that kind of things, rules are your best friend. The second thing is if there is something that you cannot do with the standard Facebook options, there might be a solution that you can do with the automated Facebook rules. I hope you love this, and this is everything I have on rules. There's actually a lot more, but we don't have that much time, and it's time for us to move on to the next advanced topic.